Good morning, Gospel Life Church. Today is a very important day. Tonight will be the first night of the men's ministry starting at 6:30. Hope that all you guys are able to come out for that. I'm personally very excited about it because it is probably the most concentrated effort that we've ever done for men's or women's ministry. And the whole time that I've been at the church, which is most of my life. So I'm very excited about that. I know that God's going to use those ministries in the lives of our men and women. So tonight, Zach McDaniel is going to be bringing the message to the guys, and I'm looking forward to that. And then in 2 weeks, it'll be me. And so as part of that preparation, I'm going to share a passage. I'm going to be talking about modern idolatry that we deal with today, and went to one passage that was really one of my favorite passages about idols, which is the story of the golden calf. And so if you want to turn to Exodus chapter 32, and you can read along with me as I read about the golden calf, starting in verse 1. When the people saw that Moses delayed to come down from the mountain, the people gathered themselves to Aaron and said to him, "Up, make us gods who shall go before us. As for Moses, the man who brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we do not know what has become of him." So Aaron said to them, "Take off the rings of gold that are on your ears of your wives, your sons, and your daughters, and bring them to me." So all the people took off the rings of gold that were in their ears and brought them to Aaron. And he received the gold from their hand, and he fashioned it with a graving tool and made a golden calf. And they said, "These are your gods, O Israel, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt." When Aaron saw this, he built an altar before it. And Aaron made a proclamation and said, "Tomorrow shall be a feast to the Lord." And they rose up early the next day and offered burnt offerings and brought peace offerings. And the people sat down to eat and drink and rose up to play. The Lord said to Moses, "Go down, for your people whom you have brought up out of the land of Egypt have corrupted themselves. They have turned aside quickly out of the way I have commanded them. They have made for themselves a golden calf and have worshipped it and sacrificed to it and said, 'These are your gods, O Israel, who brought you out of the land of Egypt.'" And the Lord said to Moses, "I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. Now, therefore, let me alone, that my wrath may burn hot against them, and that I may consume them, and in order that I may make a great nation of you." But Moses implored the Lord and his God and said, "O Lord, why does your wrath burn hot against your people, whom you have brought out of the land of Egypt with great power and with a mighty hand? Why should the Egyptians say, 'With evil intent did he bring them out to kill them in the mountains and consume them from the face of the earth?' Turn from your burning anger and relent from this disaster against your people. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, your servants, to whom you swore by your own self and said to them, 'I will multiply your offspring as the stars of heaven, and of all the land I have promised I will give you your offspring, and they shall inherit it forever.' And the Lord relented from the disaster that he had spoken of bringing on his people." Growing up, I always loved the Old Testament stories, particularly the ones about Israel and the stupid things that they would do, and God would um, do amazing things for them, and they would continue to do stupid things, and then he would forgive them. Um, and I always loved those stories and thought, oh, how stupid the Israelites are, and then of course I started realizing that I was no different from them, and then those stories weren't as fun anymore when I started making a comparison to my own life. So in this passage, the Israelites have been recently delivered out of slavery in Egypt, and Moses has gone up to Mount Sinai to meet with God, and they decide to build an idol. Um, I want to highlight the three different human characters that we have in this passage, and then see what we can learn from them. So first we have the people. Moses has barely gone up, and they immediately want idols. Probably Moses being gone was just an excuse for them. They already had it in their hearts that they wanted idols, and they thought they could probably get away with it when Moses was gone. The people were completely lacking faith, and despite just being delivered out of Egypt. Then we've got Aaron, probably the biggest disappointment in the entire story. This was Aaron's chance to shine. He was put in charge while Moses was gone, and not only does he not prevent the people from making an idol, he oversees it and then constructs it. And then he goes above and beyond, and he builds this altar so they can have sacrifices. And then later in the story, if you keep on reading, you learn that when Moses comes back, he basically just plays innocent and blames the people. Then we have Moses. God's ready to destroy the people and start new with Moses. And Moses appeals to God on the behalf of the people for mercy. He points out to God that the other people would see this, the Egyptians would see this, and it wouldn't bring God the most glory. He also is quick to point out the covenant that God has made with the people to bless them and multiply them. And one thing I think is important to note about Moses, even though he does all this for the people, he doesn't downplay the sin that they've done. Later in the passage, we see that when he sees everything for himself, he's furious. He breaks the tablets, and not only destroys the calf, he grinds it up and makes the people drink it. He also then later seeks atonement for their sin with the Lord, and he definitely does not sweep their sin under a rug. So the question for us is, how do we relate in this story? Are we like the people? Are we lacking faith? Are we quick to sin and be influenced by the culture around us? Or are we like Aaron, that we're unable to stand up for truth? We quickly give in to the influence of others and sin? Or are we like Moses, who doesn't just do the right thing, but he actively defends the sinner, pleading with God to provide mercy? So if you're like me, you probably find yourself a little bit in between. You may say, well, I do the right thing, but maybe quick to condemn and forget your own sinfulness and the abundance of mercy that God has shown us. So I just pray that we would be more like Moses, not quick to condemn the sinner, but pleading with God to have mercy on them. I hope everybody has a great day today. Hope to see all of you guys tonight, and then the rest of everybody, you ladies, on Sunday morning. Thanks.